for being here, for participating in town hall and in the talk for the speakers that are the speeches, of each of the candidates that are going to be running for the board. Reverend Denise was here just a second ago, and I don't know what happened to her. Getting handouts. Margie, do you have a second that you could open us with prayer and then?
I invite you all to take a deep breath with me. And we allow the breath to be the channel of awareness through which we consciously connect our hearts to that presence of God alive within us. And we consciously connect to the heart of the person sitting next to us, to the person at the opposite side of the room from us, to all the hearts in this space. And we consciously connect to that whole network of our community. So call to your mind in this moment the faces of those people that are in church with you on Sunday, in classes during the week, at prayer circle on Wednesday evening. And know that we are intentionally, all of us, aware, awake, alert to the activity of God that we call into this space and into this meeting this afternoon, knowing that divine order is moving through the universe, through our lives, and through this community as we choose oneness. And so it is. Thank you, God.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Somewhere, here it is the clicker. And I think I had Margie pray us in, so I appreciate that. Thank you. So first on the agenda, we've got a president's report, and I want to let everybody know I am so excited. Why am I so excited? Because we made $100,000. That is what you guys did over the course of the last 3-4 months. It is amazing. It came in, we had the $49,510. It kept going up. We couldn't keep up with the people that were giving from the matching side, and the matched side kept giving, and so we just made it over $100,000. So blessings and blessings and blessings. We ask and it comes. So this is an amazing church, an amazing body of people. So amen, amen. I'm going to run through a few short slides. It's going to be fairly quick because we want to get to the meat of what we're doing for this afternoon, which is being able to listen to the speeches and have a few questions. But I did want to run through a few things with you. At the last board meeting, we established a sacred safety committee, security committee, but it's a sacred safety committee, so that we can have a group that will look very deliberately at all of the security issues that might be present on this campus. Do we need cameras? Do we need? And you're going to find over the course of the next month, 2 months, that fencing is going to be going up around the perimeter of the church. Realize that that's going to be happening. You already know that we've got the fencing that is down here for the preschool, but the rest of the stuff is going to help secure the children, which are our main objective in the process for here, because they are an amazing asset and an amazing responsibility for each of us. Ricky Banning, Debbie Catania, Reverend Margie Hyatt, Kathy Kaiser, Rosie Kaiser, Sean Sweet, Christopher Vaughn, Ralph Whitaker are the people that signed up for the Sacred Safety Committee, and Levitt Thomas and Howard Wigg are 2 alternates in case we need. That will continue. We may lose, we may add, but that's who has signed up at the present time. You know that we are trying to make sure that we have got charters for every committee so that every committee knows what it is that they're supposed to be doing when they come on. what we have done, every committee, to include the sacred safety, with the exception of strategic planning, have turned in their charters, they've been approved, and they are now on. So we will have the strategic planning one at the next meeting, and that will be approved. Then all of our committees will have charters. I am so happy and so proud of the groups that have done that. And at tomorrow, next Sunday, I'm sorry, we will spend a little bit more time going through who's on those committees so that you will know who and where to be able to reach. As you know, at the annual meeting, there will be 2 bylaw changes that are on for Unity Church of Hawaii. Those 2 bylaw changes include making sure that we change the date from December the 30th, or trying to change the date from December the 30th to September the 30th. Rationale for that is that it is so hard for the staff to be able to try doing with Christmas, with everything else that's going on, trying to do the membership at the last minute too. So if we move that up to September, then we can have enough time for them to be able to do it and do it conscientiously and well. The second thing that's on there is to elect 2 members to the nominating alternates to the nominating committee. The rationale for that is that, as you know, we've had an issue in the past with people either moving or something else happening and not being here, so we ended up with less than the full complement of 4. And this way we'll have assuredness that we can, in fact, have 4 on that committee. So those are the 2. There were a couple of bylaw changes to the Endowment Foundation that we considered, but after a lot of contemplation and figuring what is the best time, we decided that we were going to withdraw those from the Endowment Foundation for this year and maybe look at them again next. So that will not show up on the board. So even though your letter said something about the Endowment Foundation, the reason that came out was because I wrote the letter before I left, and while I was away, we decided that we weren't going to do it, so it was on there before I was able to get it changed. There will be a presentation, though, at the annual meeting by Morgan Stanley, who is the financial management advisors for the Endowment Foundation. I think it's important for you guys to realize that the Endowment Foundation is over $500,000 now, and it is continuing to increase. And with the stock market doing as it's doing, and with everything else doing as it's doing, it is making good money for us, and we are very pleased with the progress that's being made in that whole process. And Morgan Stanley, you will get to meet Gwen and Michael next week, and I think you'll be pleased with knowing what they are doing for us and how it's working. The Board of Trustees is continuing its accountability, and we have done a fair amount of work over the course of the last 3, 4, 6 months, and we will talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. So that's my quick run through as a presidential report, so that you could kind of keep up with what's going on at the present time. And Debbie, if you will, I will turn this mic over to you for the financial statement.
I ran out, so I have additional financial statements here. Is there anybody that I missed?
Anybody else need one? Ricky? I can take them around for you.
Thank you. Sorry. So once you're able to read the financials, one of the more important items that probably will stick out to you is the fact that there was an unexpected expense during the month of January, which was coconut tree removal. That removal was over $3,000. And so thank you to all of you who contributed so generously that, we'll be able to take care of the coconut tree removals. What we will be working on for the next month is the need to review any extraordinary expenses during 2019 and determine how to allocate the money that we received in the fundraiser. It's not a matter to just go ahead and pay off all the bills. We need to look at providing a cushion for those months that we go through, during summertime when we don't have as much membership here. And so, so that's what we're working on. One additional very important point is that I received, or I'm expecting a draft report from the independent review. He had indicated, our accountant had indicated to me that he would be sending us a draft so that I could have it by the membership meeting. But in order to actually distribute, the board will have to review it and approve it. So we're getting there, and that's my point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Debbie. I appreciate that. It is amazing. We, as Debbie was saying, we have made great progress at being able to get to a financial review, and we're almost there. And as soon as we get this one done for 2015, then we'll be moving into 2017, 18, 19, so that we can be caught up. I know that it was hard. Believe me, we know it was hard being able to get caught up with that because we let things slip and we let things go for 10 years without having one done, and we are now fixing that. We are accountability-wise trying to get caught up with all of it. Next, we've got the lead minister report and Reverend Denise.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So typically when we do these town halls, I get up here and I'm very brief. So today I'm going to take a little extra time to sort of share with you some of the things that we've done as a board over the last 7-8 months. Gosh, I've been here that long? Woo! Let's see. The clicker? Oh, you're going to do the clicker? Okay. So, okay. Well, just a heads up. The next Q process, May 2nd, for those that want to do the Q. And we're doing Braving the Wilderness series starting now. And you could sign up if you weren't here earlier online or come into the office and get into a book study. So that's an important piece. Okay, so these last several months, I'm so blessed to be working with this beautiful board. This is really holy and sacred work. And they've done a beautiful, amazing job. Gandhi did say we must become the change we seek in the world, and it becomes very evident when things are not working as well as we'd like. So what we've done so far, and we've had several leadership development classes, at least 4 or 5. And those are all day with me, poor board, But that's their commitment, and we're continuing those, and we're just going deeper and deeper into who we really want to be. So our desire was to have more transparency, more openness, more honesty, and really building an arena to support integrity and authenticity. And so one of the things is that we asked each other is, how did I show up in the community? How did I play a part in any drama or conflict? And then what do we need to put in place? We were asking these questions. And one of the things in the eye of the storm, it says, can you see how the winds of conflict affect our behavior? Can you see that sometimes when we're in these troubling times, we become someone who we're not? And that's coming from the Q process of understanding that every one of us has a Christed nature. And we all want to come from that Christed self, which is wise and brilliant and compassionate and loving and peaceful and cooperative and all those things. But there's sometimes when people's behavior gets triggered to they behave in who they are not. So let's go to the next slide. So we talked about, so what got created here? We talked about, the energy in the field. And that was quite different than they had intended. Yeah. So, you'll see lots of words up there, but there's words that are disturbing, yes? Yeah, like threats or disappointment and mistrust, hopelessness, anxiety, loss, disappointment, fear. And so even though that wasn't the intention, that's sort of what got created. And to know that, we are always co-creating with God, whether we're creating from our Christed self or our human shadow self. It matters not. So it's not about blaming, it's just about noticing and becoming aware, right? It's about bringing more and more awareness to who I am in the world. And so we looked at that sort of honestly. Wow, okay, that's sort of mind-boggling that that's what we created together. That was not our intention. But what was our intention was the next slide. And there's Kathy, thank you so much. So this is what got created. Would you pass these on? Grab one to me. Thank you. Some of you have already seen this beautiful sea turtle, and I love sea turtles because I got to swim with one in your oceans. And it's quite beautiful and wonderful. Say, let's see, no, that's not the one. So we'll back up. You back up. Or forward. That goes forward. No, keep going forward. Should be a turtle showing up. But you can look at this sheet of, there it is. Okay, there's our turtle. So what we intended to create was empathy, was connection, was inspiration, was faithfulness, honesty, ethics, trust, fairness, integrity of word, integrity of action, character. You see them. And then the board said, and then that our most valued words were honesty, love, truth, trust, wisdom, acceptance, integrity, and transformation. So that's the commitment now that this board has made, is to co-create a community that looks like this with you. And some of you participated by adding your own words to this beautiful community turtle. But this is now what we want to focus on. So we sort of lost our way the last couple of years. We lost our way because we forgot who we are. We're not bad people. We just forgot who we are. Yes? Yes. So the mission was lost to sort of personal agendas, to unmet needs that were unskillful ways to get our needs met. We all have the same beautiful needs, universal needs. And we learn that in our compassionate communication class that we're doing every Tuesday. And so we need to be heard. We need respect. We need security and safety and order and principles. We need integrity and financial integrity. We need support and love and compassion. So we don't deny that. It's just the strategies of how to get those needs met that were not in accordance and in alignment with our values, with our code of ethics, and with our membership covenant. And so we've learned, as many of us doing the Q process, please have compassion for me when I am being my shadow self. My shadow self is fearful, mistrustful, suspicious, not enough, lack, disconnected, separate, or alone. That's a collective shadow. So just recognizing that that's who we could have possibly become. So the board, seeing the disruption, seeing the misbehavior, put some policies into place. And we used the model of Unity Worldwide Ministries, and some people were affected by that. And that's what we regret. But it's necessary for a community to have stop signs. And love does not mean no boundaries. We have to have healthy boundaries, yes? Yes, so that we all get to play in this field. And so we regret some of what happened, but we believe that it's for the greater good, the disruptive behavior policy. And there has to be healthy communication. And the regret for us is that we did not deal with it when it happened. That's the regret. Not that we could have done anything about it, but we could have faced it right then. And that's the commitment this board has made now, is rather than ignore or bury it or do nothing, is to be courageous, is to face what needs to be talked about in that moment. And so the next slide is one more. Yeah, building a culture of peace. So this is what we're about right now, and we're using compassion, healing circles, empathy, doing some mediation with individuals. I'm going to do some group mediation, cultivating more self-awareness by using the Q process and compassionate communication. And so the practice I'll be using is a peace and reconciliation process. So some of you that are interested in that can come see me. I've already started on a couple people, and whoever is wanting to engage can do so. So that's what we're about. That's what we're moving into. And what I believe, the next slide, is that we build our organizations on what we value, what we focus on, and what we allow. So that's why we want to focus on what we want to create. Yes? Yes. Let's focus on what we want to create. And when things get created that we don't want, we want to speak to that in a compassionate way. We want to bring it out and, sort of sit in a circle and go, hey, we had agreed to behave this way, and that's not in an alignment with our agreement. So that's accountability. Accountability is being accountable to do what you say you're going to do. Yes? To do what you say you're going to do. And it's also to be counted on. When I'm accountable, you can count on me to do something that I say I'm going to do. Now, blaming is a different animal. Blaming is to find fault with, that there's something wrong with you or you've done something wrong. So accountability emphasizes keeping our agreements and performing jobs, and it's respectful. So the qualities of accountability are respect and trust, curiosity, and mutuality. There's a mutuality. The qualities of blame are judgment, anger, fear, and punishment, and being sort of self-righteous, that I'm right and you're wrong. And remember Rumi said, out beyond all of right and wrong, there's a field, and I'll meet you there. So we take off that mask of being right or righteous. And so the next slide is about our mission. Transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in the world. So transformation is about coming back into alignment to who we really are. We're not transforming into, Godzilla, right? We're transforming into who we've really come here to be. That's what we're transforming. We're sort of taking off the mask. We're letting go of all that we're not. It's more of a subtraction, is what Meister Eckhart said. Awakening is more of a subtraction than addition. You don't need to be more. You need to be less, right, of what you're not. So as we study the Q, we understand that more and more, of looking at our shadowy self. And so we're changing the way we can see things. That's transformation as well. From a consciousness of oneness, we see the world from a consciousness of oneness. We also have a consciousness of the Christ and the consciousness of love. And as a member, you've all signed a document as well called Agreeing and Disagreeing in Love. That's how we sort of have agreed to be in this world. So I just wanted to sort of share. That was a little more than I normally share, but I sort of wanted to bring you up to date as to sort of where we are. And the board has something they want to share with you as well. And then we'll open it up for comments or questions. Brother Thomas.
If the board would come up and join me, that would be great. So, again, over the last 6 months, we have spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of tears and emotion have been present as we have spent hours and hours and hours, over 100, over 200 trustee hours, looking at where are we, what are we, where are we, and what are we doing. And this has all happened since UWM came out, since Gregory Rouillard came to help us, and then most importantly, Reverend Denise. It's important to realize that for many years, the board allowed things to happen in this community because they didn't take a firm stand to stop things that were happening. It's extremely important to know that this board takes ownership of all of the things that have happened in the past, and we have in solidarity decided we will not let this continue. We will not allow people to be hurt, people to be feeling unsafe in the process. We tried to do this in a very compassionate, heartfelt, loving way. And again, hundreds of trustee hours were done trying to make this happen. This board individually asks that the membership accept our combined apology for not stepping up earlier, not stepping up stronger, for not doing what we needed to do to make sure that people were not hurt in the process. For what we want to do is make sure that this church is a place where transformation of lives can happen with full integrity, with full love, with all of the things that need to happen to be able to be in integrity. Because we want to transform the lives and make a positive difference in the world and in our community. So as president of the board, I sincerely apologize for my part in not stopping things that were happening, that were going on. And I take full responsibility for my part in that, and everyone on the board is taking full responsibility for their part in it. And what we want to make sure that happens is that every member in our congregation, every program in our mission, every program in our ministry, every mission that we have, and particularly the preschool, has the ability to shine brilliantly throughout the Pacific Basin in love, in honor, respect, and dignity. And the board will continue to endeavor to to live through the 8 qualities that Reverend Denise mentioned already: honesty, love, trust, truth, wisdom, acceptance, integrity, and transformation, because those are the 8 words the board came up with as the most important words for us at this particular time. And so, as a group, collectively, we are saying this will no longer happen. We will no longer allow this kind of behavior and this kind of hurt to happen as far as we are concerned. Anybody else want to speak?
Yes, I am here to take responsibility for that part that I played or did not play during the time that I was on the board, and apologize to the congregation. And also thank you all for being patient with us as we move through this very, very, very trying time.
As much harm can be done by not seeing as by intentionally ignoring. And I apologize for my part in letting things go on that I didn't know were going on, in not being able to see what needed to be done.
I apologize and accept responsibility for doing the things that need to be done so that we can continue to move together in unity.
I apologize for any part that I played in the way that things unfolded, and I'm happy to take responsibility. I'm a strong believer in accountability.
I apologize. There were 2 specific incidences and private conversations where I could have said something and I didn't. I apologize. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you.
As a board member, I take responsibility for not having stepped forward when it was appropriate for me to do so, and I apologize for that. But even more, I apologize for the times I sat in a pew as a member of this congregation and didn't stand up, for I believe we each have an individual responsibility to look out for each other in this membership.
Thank you guys so much. This isn't an easy process, believe me. This has taken a lot of heartache and sweat and tears, but we have done it and we will continue to do it. We will not let this fall back. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Do you want me to do questions here? Or wait?
We generally have speeches and then we ask questions. Oh, yeah.
Just about this. Okay, so we're going to get into the candidate speeches, but did we have any questions or comments before we move to the candidates? And then there'll be questions in there. Yeah.
If it gets voted on, the new date for renewal will be this year, this September?
Yes. At the annual meeting? If it
We will vote at the annual meeting. And so if it passes, then yes, September of 2020 will be the deadline for doing so. Yes, as soon as it becomes effective, which is if we pass it, that's when it will happen. Did that answer your question? Okay.
So does that mean we renew again if we just renewed in December? Okay, got it.
Yeah, if you want to be the most clean and you want to make sure you're a member, yeah, please do. That would be great.
I can see that what you folks were talking about and the hurt that you were trying to heal and the actions that you were trying to stop is important at a very deep level. But I have no idea what you're talking about. Should I? No. Okay. So it's hard for me to receive your apology because I have no idea what you're apologizing for. So it's all been working for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like I want to apologize too, because I was here and I saw some things and I didn't know what to do. So I'm sorry, and I'm going to do better next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. That's great.
Hi. Without divulging anybody's confidences, because I do know a lot about what's going on behind the scenes, I would like to take the high road and be positive and implore all of us to find ways to build bridges, to find connection, to see the light in each other, and to truly be the Unitarian Church on the East Coast, where I used to attend. They had a slogan that they were welcoming and inclusive. And I would like to see us take an easier, softer way and find a way to make sure that everybody can stay included so that people don't need to be either pushed away or rejected or banned from the campus. So I'm just praying about it, that we can all continue to, I really believe you said something in your speech this morning, Reverend Denise, about, I forget what you said, but something about getting to know each other or something like that. It was some kind of special phrase you used. And I challenge all of us, I mean, you don't have to like me, you don't have to take me out to dinner, but get to know me a little bit. Let's all get to know everybody. Let's get to know each other and not make snap judgments about each other, because I guarantee you there's something about everybody in this room that we all can come to like. So thank you in unity. Thank you. I'm praying.
Most certainly. Thank you, Ricky. I appreciate that. Jim Earhart.
A few years ago, we were going through a lot of problems, and everybody feels like they've got a lot to apologize for. But I want to change our focus. During the past year, we have gone through a lot of transformation. We have been blessed with Gregory Willard, and Reverend Denise, and others, and all of these things that have been happening to bring us into proper unity. And so I just want to take this opportunity to say, let's focus on the good that we've done so far. Let's keep the ball rolling. And then I'm going to close and say, thank you, God, for the board that we had and for Tom Gallagher leading us all in that. Thank you.
Yeah. Jim, thank you very much. And we just felt the need to be able to say we've closed the chapter because now the sun is rising and we are in heaven. Amen. Charlie?
Hi, it wasn't really clear to me what you guys were apologizing about. Could you please elaborate?
For those that know, that's probably the most important piece.
I'm sorry, what?
If
Say again,
you
please?
don't know what has gone on and some of the rest, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. We're not going to get into things that we needed to do in executive session because that's important that it stays in executive session. So it will not be divulged any more than that. Just thank you and
Beautiful. But one thing is last year you had an annual meeting that was a little bit crazy. So that's just one thing. So just looking at last year, there was just a lot of disruption and mistrust and controlling. And so we're just switching that. So just looking at how the annual meeting got run last year, that we're apologizing for that. Is that good? Yeah. Yes.
Hi, everyone. One thing that I carry with me is a strong conviction for standing up in what is truth and what I believe, to prevent having to stand up and apologize later for situations where I should have. There are a lot of strong personalities on this campus, and at times some of us can feel really small. And so our voices are shut out. So I encourage everyone to hold on to your faith and speak that and hold on to that truth and share that with everyone. Okay?
Thank you. There's a hand back there. Ralph, there's a hand way back there.
And I think this, if it's okay, this may be our last comment for this part, because we don't want to get behind on the speeches too. So thank you.
Thank you.
So sorry.
I can enlighten the folks a little bit. We know that the broadcasters took the 808 area code and they commandeered 808 NE.WS and NE Living, LIVING. They took 808 demolition, and they took it from 5/6 of the civilian population. I think the broadcasters are going to have to give it back. And for the last 9 years, Homeland Security was doing FISA 702. What was the bulk data collection of records on all phone calls going in and outside
Thank
the
you so
United
much.
States?
Yeah,
Please allow me one.
Well, but this isn't having
Denying revenue
with
and
Unity
commerce,
Church.
the right to sell. Many of the preachers' lines are jammed up on the 8.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. That doesn't have anything to do with Unity Church of Hawaii, I don't believe, so thank you so much. Okay, so we are ready to move into the next section, which is with regards to speeches, and so I'm going to turn everything over to Francine. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll just like to lay some groundwork for today's meeting of the candidates. If you, each candidate has been allotted 3 minutes for a speech, but they have also been allotted at their choice if they would choose to have someone introduce them. So the introductor is included in that 3 minutes. So I have two keepers here, timekeepers, and that's going to be Catherine Burton, and this is Linda Knox. And we thank them for their service. So I think that's all I have to say. They have 3 minutes each candidate, and that includes their introduction. And not all of the candidates have chosen to have someone introduce them. So I'll call up the first person, and we're going to do this in alphabetical order. So Debbie Catania will be the first speaker, and her introducer is Michael Hammett.
Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Debbie Catania. She has done
If at all
incredible-
possible, if you could come up to the podium area, just because for the filming piece, they don't have good light back there. So.
It's my pleasure to introduce Debbie Catania. She served as secretary of the board, and for the past 2 years has been the treasurer. And as somebody who worked in the finance office for a brief time, I can tell you it's a heck of a job, and Debbie's provided a lot of leadership. So thank you for your service, and we're hoping you'll join us again.
Thank you very much, Michael. So, greetings. 3 years ago, I told you about my career that started as a file clerk and ended in my retirement as technical director. I talked about my responsibilities as technical director. But what I didn't know 3 years ago was that all of my career experiences as a file clerk, receptionist, teller, payroll clerk, site manager, system administrator, shift lead, all the way to supervisor, would impact my work right here on the Board of Trustees. I found that working my way up from file clerk provided me valuable insights on how to get along with people and how to get work done. What I learned in the 3 years of work on the board was that all of those experiences brought me right here to the right place at the right time, right now. 3 years ago, I became a member of the Board of Trustees of Unity Church of Hawaii. And in the course of those 3 years, I grew a family through my work on the board. I have a prayer family, staff family, counting family, kitchen family, my board family. We've grown a community here, and this community has grown into so much for me, and I am very grateful. I'm so grateful to you for allowing me to serve on the board for the past 3 years. But there's still a lot of work to do. So I ask that you allow me to continue to do this work, to serve you as a member of the Board of Trustees. Thank you very much.
We'll hold questions for all candidates till after everyone has spoken. So our next introducer is Jack Randall.
Thank you. I have the honor, the distinct honor, to introduce my good friend and wonderful member of this church, Tom Gallagher. You may have seen through the mailings which you received, I did write a letter on his behalf. And if you haven't read it, I would encourage you. I'm not going to repeat the same information. Just want to comment on a couple of things. I have seen Tom in action in so many different ways over so many different years since we've both been here together. And I have never seen him to be anything but a loving, supportive, communicative, loving person. So I served on two important committees, the Bylaws Committee and the Endowment Foundation Board. And I am going to say that those two experiences, week in and week out, gave me a strong presence of the leadership he has, the commitment to details, the consideration for everything. Thank you so much.
Jack, thank you so much for those comments. It's interesting. I started reading the Daily Word when I was in high school, which was in the 60s and 70s. I knew for sure that every single one of them was written just for me. I continue to believe that every single one of them are written just for me. I knew nothing about Unity Church at the time, and it wasn't until 1993 when I moved to Hawaii and I moved into this area that I decided to come here. And I took some classes initially just to kind of learn a little bit about Unity Church of Hawaii, to kind of get a feel for what goes on in Unity Church. And then I became more and more dedicated to spending the time in meditation, in soul searching, and in finding my place in a oneness with this church community. I've had a lot of stuff in the past. I've run programs. I was the developmental pediatrician for the Pacific Basin and had a staff of like 30 people with several $1 million of personnel costs, and we brought in $20 million over 10 years for research and development, for being able to provide services to kids. But having said that, this is the more important piece of what I have been involved with. I have learned more in the last 2 years, 3 years, than I ever learned in how do you deal with people, how do you work with people, et cetera, et cetera. And I am so happy and so proud of the board that we've got. This is an amazing group of people, and I would consider it an honor to be able to continue the work that we are currently doing. Thank you so much.
I just have some instructions from the timers. When Catherine holds the 15 seconds left, that includes the introducers. Okay, so the introducer in this case, we won't have another introducer. We will just have, we will have Richard share his story with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. You've seen my bio. You've probably seen me up here last year also, but highlights: retired, 33 years career as a pilot, 19 years here in Unity. Previous served on the board for 2.5 years, finishing up someone's term. Very active in a lot of committees, currently bylaws and strategic planning. Also camera operator in the back on Sundays and other ad hoc committees. Just over these 19 years, have been very busy in all of these areas. But why am I here, really? I think we're all here for the same reason. There's a spiritual path that I'm looking for, and Unity has that answer. I know that in my heart. And I really enjoy the metaphysics and the spiritual understandings that go with that. Most currently, this last year, Gregory Roulard attended 14 out of 16 of his sessions. Eye of the Storm, Untethered Soul, book studies. Q, I've done that 2 times, most recently and 2.5 years ago. Also NVC, C, and I call that compassionate communication, helping to assist with some of the facilitation in that area. That's the thing that really floats my boat. But why be on the board? Well, I think I have something to offer. I think largely what I'm hearing from other presenters also is that there's a spiritual essence that we really need to get to in order to solve the problems here at the church. So I have something to offer in that area, the metaphysical understandings. I've also got the areas of being focused, usually pretty accurate, and attention to detail, and a certain ability with insightfulness. And, you know, we've been through a lot, and I've heard it. We've gone from 3 down to 2, and then down to 1 service. And the attendance has been dropping off. Like 8 years ago, what was it, 600-700 people. Now I believe it was 149. And 220 last year, and down to 149. That's 32% drop in a year. So the finances reflect on that, and then there's the negative cash flow issues that are happening. I just tell it like it is. And it's hard to speak this, but there's a reason for that, and it's a culture. It's a culture here that in each and everyone's heart needs to change. It's a spiritual answer. So these are the patterns of behavior, and they've come up in Hopkloffs, as well as other venues where people have spoken. David Tasaka last year brought it to our attention. But moving forward, all of our past is a blessing. It brings us to where we are right now. We need to move forward, engage with the NVCC, the Q process. This is our future. We can do this together. So I respectfully ask for your vote so I can be of service in the spiritual success of this church, and that it may grow as a beacon of light within the larger community. If anybody has any further questions, I'll be here after the meeting, and we'll be happy to discuss it right down here in the front. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. And our next speaker will be Rosalie, or as we all know her, Rosie Kaiser.
Oh, you all are so wonderful. I'm very nervous. Apologize if I start quivering. But hello to everyone, and my name is Rosalie, but you're all my friends, so you definitely call me Rosie. And I'm so humbled and honored to be able to run for a candidate for the Board of Trustees for our beautiful community. I've served with much success along with my other board members in previous and deeply embedded in this community. I work peacefully and hand with the staff and leadership and grounded in rooting and upholding the prayer consciousness of this community as a prayer chaplain, as well as I'm on the track of being a credentialed licensed Unity teacher. Thank you. I see this community as family that is growing and transforming itself in positive, healthy ways. And being a natural nurturer, which I am, it's exciting for me to continue to loosen up those hurts, past hurts, and connecting, making new friendships, the wonderful strengths that are developing with each and every one of us. I've seen it. This is truly a different church from last year. And we are truly transforming lives and making a positive difference in this world and in our community. With the upward motion happening in each of one of us, I'll bring to the board the values of Reverend Denise, as put so beautifully on that turtle that you just received. Accountability, compassion, love, trust, just to name a few. I stand on the rock and the strength of living in integrity. It's touching my heart. This church means so much to me. In leaning on spirit, I see the board service as sacred and trusted position within our community. And I know the challenges and I know the rewards that also come with this service. Each one of the board and staff, volunteers, of course, senior ministers, has my promise of working from a space of love and honesty. I'm committed to both inner and outer transformation. If given an opportunity to serve, I'm sorry, it is my commitment that will drive me to continue not only to talk about unity principles, but to live the living light of them. I will use my nature of compassion to soften those outer edges and bring light to this lingering darkness. We are on the cusp of greatness. Together, we will do incredible things for this community and for this world. I am the light. You are the light. We are one team, one purpose.
Our next speaker will be Latrice Mitchell, and we welcome her.
Thank you. I was going to have London introduce me, but she said, "Mom, you need all the time you can get." So, aloha and good afternoon, Unity Church of Hawaii family. Today I stand before you, not as one of the predetermined favorites in this election, but as an individual and a friend determined to give a voice and to make an opportunity for those who go often unseen and unheard in our community. My time here at Unity has been spent managing resources, funds, equipment, people, programs, and children, coupled with offering myself, my energy, my voice, and my time as sacred service. I believed and continue to believe for the past 8 years that I have found my spiritual home. A home that fills my need for fellowship, community service, and praises for the one presence in the universe, God the Good. Every week, this space in particular boasts that we as a community, a church, and as a people foster personal transformation, creative relationships, and compassionate service. To foster means to encourage, to promote, to rear, to bring up, and to raise. Our mission of transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in the world, along with our vision of staying centered in God, so that we can elevate global consciousness through the realization of oneness, unfortunately, is at times lost on personal vendettas, unchecked emotions, and fear-based intentions. Today, I invite you to ask any of my fellow candidates how and where they actively promote and represent the consciousness of Unity Church of Hawaii. I invite you to take a moment and observe the changes that have taken place since we last voted, and finally, take a look at all of the things that have stayed the same. When voting, it is nice to support your friends, but it is even better to support positive change. I miss community outreach. I miss fellowship with all of you. I miss our presence out there in the community. My name is Latrice Marie Mitchell Campbell, and I am running for the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Latrice. Our next speaker will be Allison. And Allison has Mary Paulson as her introducer.
I'm just so happy to support Allison Peterson. You know her open heart, you know how she supports this church and how she shows up for everything. I know her in a different way. She was my customer. I owned a company, and she was one of my major customers for years. We worked on projects together. And I can tell you right now, she is going to bring the business experience that she has had, as well as her loving presence, to this board. And she has some qualities that I think are needed. She will not approach any project without getting all of the information. She will ask many questions. She will make sure that you are on target with what the project is all about. And I think this, in addition to her loving presence, is much needed on our board. And I endorse her heartily as a member of this board.
Wow. Thank you, Mary. Good afternoon, everyone. We've been asked to speak on 4 areas about ourselves, our personal goals, intentions, and visions. That's a lot in 2 minutes. So here we go. So first, about me. It's pretty simple. What you see is what you get. I'm quite transparent, and so you'll always know what's on my mind. But more importantly, you'll always know and feel what's in my heart. And if there's one value that I truly endeavor to live by, it's integrity. I strive to always be fair and honest, to take responsibility, keep my word, and do the right thing. My intention for seeking election is simply to be of service. This church is my North Star. No matter how caught up I get with life, Unity is like a beacon that every week guides me back and reminds me of God's truth and to stay on the path. I would be spiritually adrift without Unity, so I'm committed to do anything that I can to preserve this sanctuary that is the spiritual compass for so many of us. So my goal is to utilize my skill set to help make the board as efficient and productive as possible. And it's also very important to me to represent all of you, the congregants, in facilitating and bringing to fruition our goals. And lastly, my vision for the church is for balance and continued growth. Unity is a collective of all of us, so it's like a living person, and every person has 4 sides. It's the spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional. Our spiritual side continues to flourish, so this is my vision. Our spiritual side continues to flourish and grow with the selection of the perfect new minister. Our mental side is the business of running the church. So our financial and legal responsibilities are all in order and our coffers are overflowing. Amen. Our physical side is represented by our facilities. It's maintained and upgraded. So that its beautiful new facade attracts new families, members, and business opportunities. And finally, our emotional side is about us, the congregants. We're healed and move forward in peace and love. We express our compassion in outreach programs and our joy in fun, new social activities. We are a community in harmony. Namaste.
Okay, that you have now been introduced to all of the candidates. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, Anne Valeron. Sister, please. Come forward. I love you.
Please forgive me when I am being inadequate, not enough, not good enough, fearful, unsafe, unworthy. Because who I have come here to be is brilliant, courageous, authentic, generous, loving, compassionate, and fun. An Instagram quote by Michael Bernard Beckwith summarizes my learning of this past year. When we mature in our understanding of the valuable play of light and shadow in our life, we know that we are on a grand journey of the heart, and we give thanks to the dark night for evolving us into spiritual warriors and illuminating our path. Welcome the dark night with full confidence and trust. Indeed, as I reflect on this past year, I see the many gifts the dark night has given us. My personal awakening happened when the evening Reverend Tim shared with us why he was leaving Unity Church of Hawaii. In that moment, I realized I needed to change. Who I was and how I was showing up was not working. I had to shift. In the depths of the dark night experience, Unity Worldwide Ministry came to help us. I treasured everything Reverend Cynthia, Reverend Doug, and Gregory offered. I did my best to attend every session. My heart was encouraged as I saw many of you, and we got to know each other. Truly precious gifts of the dark night. Shortly thereafter, Reverend Denise arrived, we had a trustee resigned, and I was chosen to fill the vacancy. I've been on the board for the last 8 months, just as long as Reverend Denise has been here, and I have to tell you, it's been one of the best experiences of my life. Notice I didn't say it was easy. We had to take ownership of what was created in the past, and we've made some tough decisions. But through it all, we've been respectful with each other, loving, kind, compassionate, quick to apologize. We've worked together beautifully. We value each other, value our unique gifts, our individual perspectives, our collective wisdom. We realize we need each other. Reverend Denise has been phenomenal in conducting leadership trainings with us, modeling empathy. We've all grown. This has been an elevating, heart-opening experience for me, unexpected, glorious gifts of the dark night. Our board is a cohesive unit. We are strong and Christ-centered. Our board is in harmony with the minister. We love and support each other. Our membership is taking ownership of our transformation through participating in small group book studies, compassionate communication classes, and the Q process. Together, we have raised $100,000. I celebrate all we have accomplished this year, and I want to continue to join with you in building on the momentum we've co-created together. These are the magnificent gifts of the dark night, and for that, I am grateful. Thank you, God.
Okay, I can say what I said before. You have seen all the candidates. You've heard what they wish to say. And now we'd like to know if you have any questions for an individual. Could I have all of the candidates stand up front? And, okay. Mhm. Okay. Yes.
Here you go, Ralph.
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. Okay, for the question and answer, you have 28 seconds to state a question, and the candidates have 1 minute to answer you.
Thank you, Ralph. My question is to you, Thomas. Reverend Tim left over a year ago, but there's still no search committee working to recruit a new senior minister. What is keeping you from meeting UWM's requirements to allow this church to recruit a new minister, and what's our timeline? Thank you in advance.
Sure, thank you very much. It's important to realize that we are on probation, and until UWM decides that we can start the process, we cannot start the process. We have submitted, and Reverend Denise has been talking with UWM. I've been talking with Gregory Rouillard and with Cynthia Vermillion Foster, trying to keep them informed as to what we're doing. I have sent them the information that I shared with you in the last town hall that gave where we currently are, and until they give us a green light, we can do nothing.
Hi, I'd like to ask Richard Hughes if he could elaborate on the, I think what he said was problems that are unresolved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Problems unresolved, referring to the sort of the overall cultural issues that we're talking about. Yeah, there has been a pattern here at the church that I have seen. I've been around 19 years. I've been on the board, a lot of committee work. And it's one thing to say we're going to do something. It's a whole nother thing to keep the agreements, okay? So these are patterns that I feel are culturally ingrained, and we really need to bear down. There's two ways to resolve it. Obviously, cultural change starts with leadership. So there's two ways that leadership works. People evolve themselves internally and change, or through voting. Hopefully both. But the idea is nobody gets thrown overboard or tossed out. Everybody is valuable. But we've got to get into the Q processes, the NVCCs, the compassionate communications, the book studies, and really walk our talk. Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question. So I'd like to ask a question of Richard. So I'm hearing you say that the culture needs to change here. And is that correct? And so since Reverend Denise has been here and others have been here, I've felt a huge shift in this community, both on the board and in the congregation. And I'd like to know why you think it's not moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Ralph. That requires a really fine distinction. And your perception is it's changed for the good. My perception is it's kind of gone a little bit the other direction. I've seen the culture here become more ingrained, actually, especially in the last year. But we can't get away from the results. Look at the results of the leadership that we've had, the culture that's been here. Look at the decline in our services, the finances. That's all factual information, okay? So that culture has been in existence, but we really need to change it. And that takes insight. That takes consciousness. We have a spiritual problem. Everything else will be solved. When I got on the board 3 years ago, I used to say, it used to be all about finances, but We don't have a financial problem. We have a spiritual problem. So this is where we all need to go inside and dig really deep. And I'd be happy to chat more about that right here in the front after the meeting.
Thank you, Richard. Do we have any other questions for any other candidates?
I have a question for anyone of the candidates who wishes to answer. Do we have any ideas on how we can increase our membership? How we can get back to where we were? And we don't need to have 600-700 people in 5 services every Sunday. We just need to have more than what we have. And how do we increase that?
I'll start with this one. Oh, sorry. I'll wait for Linda. Or I'll just take extra time. Okay. So as a mother of a student who went to Waikiki Elementary and who now goes to Seeks, I communicate with the business owners around this area. It's really about our presence. Personally, I don't understand why everyone on this block on Montserrat doesn't know Unity Church of Hawaii. Where are we in the community is my biggest thing. So if we're out there, then they will come.
I actually believe that we're already on that road to increasing our members, our presence here in the church. One of the great things that Reverend Denise brought was the one service. So now we, from the 9 o'clock service, get to see the people from the 11 o'clock service. The only reason that I knew who those people were was because I was serving breakfast in the morning in the kitchen. But now we get to see them in the chapel, and it's bringing fellowship back to this church. And it creates that family, that community that we've been trying to do. So I think we're already on that track right now.
I love that question. How do we get back on track? And for one thing, Reverend Denise has brought and has enhanced some really good programs. I know we had the Q before, but now it's more Q and more Q, and it's more queuing. Also, the book studies, it's the inner work that we all show up together, but work on ourselves. I mean, it's one thing to be happy, and I'd love to see a dance floor right here. I'm a dancer, honestly. A good wooden dance floor here. But those are on the surface. The deeper meaning is how we treat other people. And there's been such a pattern where people tend to get turned off and turned away. Last year we had a guy by the name of Julian. I don't know him. He showed up at town hall, and he said that he's been here for years, but he said, "I refuse to be a member of your church," and he used the word hypocrite. Wow, that speaks. So there's behavior under that. People, there may be distortions, rudeness, there may be an inside circle and personal affronts, and it turns people off, and they're gone. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, we're in a rebuilding phase right now. We've gone through some dark nights. We're rebuilding. And the people will come. As we continue to do our work, they will come. And as a person who's on the board and I've participated in the different transformational offerings, I see the shift. And so I love that question. Thank you. And for us to hold that vision, that's our job as we continue to transform. Let's hold the vision and see this place on how we want to see it full of people, children, gospel choir, all that good stuff. Let's just continue to hold that. Let's continue to do our work. It's one step at a time. We are going in the right direction.
I agree with both Debbie and Ann, and I'm sorry I agree to disagree with you in love, Richard. I do believe that our culture has shifted. I firmly believe that, like Field of Dreams, you build it and they will come. We just got to stay on that track that we're on. I spoke to one of the new not members, but it was her first time today. And I told her what was happening at Town Hall and everything. And I just briefly mentioned, we've been going through a transformation. And it had been a rough year. And she said, oh, really? I wouldn't have known. It feels great here. So I really do believe that we are on the right track, and we just got to keep on keeping on.
Amen. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I agree with all three. I'm an usher also. I had the honor to greet all these beautiful faces. There are a lot of new faces here. And when they leave, they go, I'll be back and I'll bring a friend. Their hearts have been touched. It's not going to happen overnight, but faith is unseen, but I have that faith. It's showing up. It's showing up. It's happening. We are on the path, and they even say, people go, the energy feels so good here. I had a gentleman walk up, and I just said, go ahead, sit down. So it's happening. It is happening. We just hold tight and keep doing the inner work. Keep doing the inner work. How you be shows up, and people can feel it. They feel it. That's why they come. Thank you.
Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah, I concur completely with everybody's what they've said. The whole framework and the whole shift of the consciousness and where we are is completely 180 degrees from where it was. And I am very, very pleased with the things that are going on. It does not change in the congregation as quickly as what it does in the board. The board has got to change, and it's going to take about a year or thereabouts before all of the congregation changes to be able to be with where we currently are. You will see a big change coming up real shortly because people are feeling the difference that is present in the congregation. I had a person that came up to me yesterday and said, I cannot believe the difference in what we feel going on in this church. I am with you, and I am so excited to be in this church because I am just transformed by what you guys are doing. And it's making a big difference. Thank you.
I hope there aren't too many questions. I'd like to indulge me for just a moment. I want to make a statement rather than a question. I've served in enough boards here to know that every board is different. New personalities will come on, new opportunities, new challenges will be there. And this board, I believe we've got a good foundation moving forward, and it's going to be an exciting time for the new board. And I've had the opportunity of working with virtually all of you on a project, and I would be proud to work with any of you again. Except one person I haven't is a person I would endorse the most, and that's Latrice. Because I believe Latrice brings something that we don't have on the board, and that's youth, vitality, and a current parent.
Aloha. I'm sorry I was late to the meeting. I had a thing to do. But this question is directed first to Thomas, then Debbie and Richard. So there's been no audits, independent reviews, financial statements with the church or the school that has been completed since 2005. Okay? What are some of the things we're doing to get this resolved on the situation? So Thomas, could you please answer that, then followed by Debbie and Richard?
Most certainly. Debbie made an announcement earlier today that when we were talking, the 2015 audit or a financial review is just almost done. Should be out by the annual meeting. We don't know exactly. It should be out so that we can do, but the board would have to look at it to approve it before it could become official.
Thank you for that question. Aside from the fact that we're about to finish the 2015 independent review, in my last year, having taken on the job as treasurer, I've been looking at procedures and processes that would make sense, that provide the continuity for people that come up behind me, the checks and balances that are necessary to make sure that our money is safe. And we've been taking small steps because there has been a lot to do. And just like I did state during my, my little speech, was that we do have a lot of work to do. But continuing to continuing to do that work is where it's going to get us to where we can turn over 1 year, have the independent review, and then be able to move on to the next. Well, we finished 15, we'll be working on 16, and then after that 17, 18. We're continuing to do that.
Okay, I was hearing words interchangeably as audit and also annual review. Okay. I've been to all the board meetings this year as a non-board member, and I haven't heard too much about audits, so there's not too much happening there. I would like to point out that we have lost a very good board member, in my opinion, and that's Kathy Whitmire. You don't see her up here, do you? Okay. So there's a reason for that. And Kathy started on the board about 3 years ago, and she became treasurer. She is a CPA, and she's the former mayor of Houston. And she started looking at the books, and especially the school books. And in that whole period of time, she was not allowed to have full reference to the school financial statements. We had the Attorney General's office that has given us 2 letters, maybe 3 letters by now. We have not been reporting accurately or adequately to the attorney to make our annual state reports. So there's a lot going on in the finances. I'm really sorry to see Kathy's departure. And I really hope we can work well together, not throw people over the side. As Reverend Tim says, we're all in the same boat. Let's keep the oars in the water, not whack each other, but now we're tossing people over the side. I don't think that bodes well. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your heartfelt replies. We thank you. Is there anybody?
He just gave me the mic, Francie.
No, you're not in queue.
Oh,
you're not in queue. Yes, she's in queue.
I'm sorry.
I am, I'm Bonita, and I wanted to know, when are we going to have another chorus? I'm waiting. I've had people tell me, when are they going to have a chorus, Bonita? And I said, okay, I'm going to ask the question on Sunday, and I would like to have another chorus because this time I want to join. So is anyone going to answer that?
I don't think anyone can answer that.
Well, it isn't our job to decide when we have a chorus, but the current music director, it would be her job to be able to figure out how she wants to do that all. And so bring it up with her. Let her know that it's a desire that you have.
As Tom said, we probably don't have anything directly to do with it, but I would be happy to put in my 2 cents about that. I truly believe that, as Richard said, that we could stand a little bit more fun in here and more fellowship, as Latrice said, and I do miss that, more outreach programs, and definitely that's something that I would like to see more of and would be happy to contribute to that.
That's actually on my vision board for our church. So I'm in alignment with that, definitely.
Thank you, Marcia. Great suggestion. Can you add a dance floor to that? Board responsibilities, as Thomas was pointing out, are in one area jurisdictionally, And then that's more of a ministerial thing. So Reverend Denise and whoever else is involved, just please have at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Reverend
Hi.
Johanna.
I would like to provide some clarification. Earlier, it was stated by Richard about the Attorney Generals, the two. So we received years ago 2 inquiries. So somebody basically reported us to the Attorney General's office, just asking about the management of our funds. We did extensive work, and we even have letters of clearance regarding it. So we provided all the paperwork, our accounting team, our administrator, our minister at the time, and our board of trustees collaboratively put all this paperwork together and submitted it to the Attorney General. The Attorney General gave their thumbs up, and then it was another time, another inquiry happened. And the same thing, we went through the rigmaroles of providing all the information so your money is safe. As Debbie was saying before, we have some wonderful practices in place that really provide those checks and balances. We've been able to provide that evidence to the Attorney General. And so thank you for what that was, but the correct information is that we're free and clear, and we're doing exactly what we need to do to protect the financial resources of this community, your financial resources that you entrust with us. So mahalo for all of that. Thank you.
My question is for Allison. Hi, Allison. You've been a parent at the preschool where there's been no or little accurate financial reporting since Sergio became executive director. So my question to you is, what will you do, if elected, what will you do to assure that the board gets the financial reporting from the school as required by state law, just in terms of regular reporting, complete reporting, and transparent reporting?
I'm sorry, the
That's
first
the
part of
question.
it kind of threw me off because I'm not a parent. I'm not a parent at all.
I thought everybody's told me for years you're a parent, so we just made you a parent in the gossip mill. So if you're not, I apologize. Regardless, I thought you were. That's why I crafted my question that
Okay,
way.
well, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question then? Because it just threw me off.
Okay, well, the bottom line question is, if elected to the board, what will you do to try to promote complete transparency and regular reporting of the school finances to the congregation? Thank you.
I really don't like to make statements about things that I don't know too much about. As Mary said, I like to get all of the information. And I think Debbie would be able to, speak on that intelligently. But if I had to have some kind of input, again, I would try to find out what the current procedures are, who's involved, and try to facilitate that in any way that I can. I believe that they're on the right track, having, I think with Jerry and Jan, that we have board members that are currently talking with Sergio, and I think that the relationship is a lot better than it might have been in the past. Thank
you. I'm not sure if I should answer because the question wasn't posed to me, but this is what I say. The school is providing financials to the church. I do receive them. However, and you will receive the annuals for the school next week during the membership meeting. So, we need to clarify this. Over the last year, the relationship between the school and the church has healed. And some of the evidence of that is in the ability for me to be able to work very closely with the school's accountant, and so there isn't anything being hidden. The school is not trying to keep anything from the church, and I think that needs to be made very, very clear to everybody right now.
And I would add to the fact that there has been a 180-degree turn with the way we are communicating with the school. The school is very good with communicating with us. They're spending a lot of time with us. The preschool committee that Jerry, Jan, and I are on, the school is forthcoming with everything that we're asking of them. They're very transparent as far as I can tell. I am very pleased. It is a complete turn from where it was in the past, and I think that that has a lot to say with the people that are trying to communicate with them in love and in harmony rather than otherwise.
So Johanna made a statement which really raised some questions. I think the questions were for me. Has anybody on the board seen a clearance letter from the Attorney General's office? I heard clearance letter. Have you? What's the date of the letter, Johanna? What is the date? Can you shout louder? Two- 2016 was the first letter, and we got one about a year later. But what about the clearance letter? Yeah, we'll get a microphone going here. Yeah, I was on the board for a large period of that time.
I know. And so in 2016, there was an inquiry from the Attorney General, maybe a member or somebody. Anybody can inquire within the Attorney General if you have a nonprofit regarding the finances of that nonprofit. And so that's what happened. And what our administration team did, what some of the board did, they compiled everything that was needed in order to fulfill the requirement or the questions from the Attorney General. It's in my office, the letter back from the Attorney General. We did present it at a board meeting, at a town hall as well. And so we do have that documentation. We can't just not report to the Attorney General when there's an inquiry. So yes, and they always provide follow-up because that's what the government does. So thank you.
Okay, the question is, when did the clearance letter come through? That's a different letter.
These questions should be for you, Richard.
I'm not sure one exists. Well, let me answer to that then. I was on the board. It was 2016. Yes, we did get it, a letter, and we provided all the church's finances. We did not include the school's finances in that first disclosure. Then later, sometimes in the spring or a year later in the spring, we got a second letter, and it was asking for the school's finances. That was the second letter. I haven't heard anything about a clearance letter, so I think that is still pending. But I'd be happy to meet with you, Johanna, and Reverend Denise. Maybe we can discuss it.
Okay, does Rodney, you have a question? Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, this question is for the treasurer of the board. Debbie, I just wanted clarification again because it seems it's a bit confusing for some people. At this point, have you received full cooperation with all financial reports from the preschool that you've requested and needed for your reviews?
Oh, absolutely. I get the reports from the school on a monthly basis. It goes from the accountant through Sergio. So, there are times when we get the reports. That's the bottom line. And all of the financials for the school were submitted to the AG. We would not be coming to a close on the independent review if we hadn't gotten all of the reports from the school to the accountant. So this independent review that's coming up will include both the church and the school, which I need to point out that the intention was to clean up the church's financials first and then work on the schools, because the school's pretty clean with regards to their financials. The only problem that there was personal information, which is by law not allowed to be disclosed outside of the school employees.
Rodney, you have a question? Please stand.
Yes, this is basically for Allison. From what we've heard so far, all the problems are being handled, and it just takes time to get all complicated legal issues handled properly. And the incumbent board is doing that. My question to Allison is, because of your extensive training experience in the major hotels, you must have a very good knowledge of how to increase the membership of the church.
Thank you for the question, Rodney. I sort of alluded to that in the earlier one. I agree that we're already on the path to making that happen energetically. We put it out, we're doing it. I do also believe that we could be doing better marketing, social media. That is, we would like to get more young people, including parents. They all pay attention to social media, so that's something that we could do. We could have more family events. We are missing the kids, definitely. And so if we, again, build it, and they will come. So, thank you.
I just want to make one statement regarding the preschool and relationship between the church and the preschool. I'm on the committee as well with Thomas and with Jan and Jerry. And I just want to confirm that it's really lovely to be in there. I feel very comfortable having been both involved with the school and the church. It feels wonderful. Thank you.
We have Robin, and then Jim, and then I might want to make a statement.
Again, only because you guys have been on the board recently. So again, to Thomas, then Debbie, and then Richard. So the question is I heard from the board meeting that you guys are getting rid of the professional tax person that does the accountant, and we're bringing it in-house. So who's doing that, and why aren't we using the specialists?
Before you answer that, could I make a statement? These questions are supposed to be so that we can get to know these people, and so they can express to us why they want to be on the board. But I'm hearing questions that really have to do with a different type of town meeting. So I would just ask that you keep the questions to individual persons or the group, but keep them related to why they should be on the board rather than what's going on, etc.
Thank you, Ralph. Any more questions for?
Well, I was going to make a brief comment. Somebody was talking about transparency of school reporting to the church, et cetera, and making the membership aware. That would be information overload. The board is elected to take care of that stuff on our behalf, and if they tell us once a year at the annual membership meeting, that's sufficient, in my view.
I'll take it.
I'm here to answer Robin's question with regards to the professional accountant. Very recently, the person that was assigned to work with us from that company left. And they are now inundated with taxes, and we have been assigned to somebody who is not an accountant to work on our books, which is probably more efficient and much more effective if we were able to bring that responsibility back in-house. And so we are moving towards that direction, and we have to put things in place, though, in order to get that done. We are moving in that direction. We have things in place, but we still have work to do.
Okay, this is interesting. Robin asked a question and looked like the question was being eliminated. Okay, that doesn't feel good to me. That doesn't feel like a culture where we're all working together. That is an example of what we've been dealing with all these years, okay? We will know our karma by our results. We've got a lot of good things going here, but we have to do the work. We have to change, each and every one of us. No one can change ourselves but ourselves, okay? And I was back there on the camera today, and Reverend Denise was given the sermon today, and what a beautiful book. I've never been familiar with that book before, but I love it already. But a couple things were said. Have the courage to stand alone. The second thing, if I'm quoting correctly, is speak truth to BS, but be civil. So I will speak truth to BS. That's why I want to be on the board. Thank you.
There was no attempt on my part nor Debbie's part to be anything but transparent. The comment was made that we didn't maybe need to make the comments that we need to, that was asked. But let me tell you, I was the one that asked Kathy to move the finance downtown because of the fact that we were having difficulties with being able to get timely reports at the time. The reason was that the accountant that we had 3 or 4 churches that she was doing, didn't have the time to be able to do what we needed. It was my desire to move it downtown. At the present time, it's my desire, without question, to move it back in-house. The rationale is threefold. One, we can get our checks and everything else done in a much more expeditious manner. Number 2, they can communicate with one another. 3, Debbie can see what's going on, and they can all communicate to make sure that things are done cooperatively and in the best method to be able to get things done. It is going to work marvelously, and it was my intent to move it downtown. It's most certainly my intent to move it back now.
Okay, it's now 1:48, and we plan to do our prayers and our song. If there are no more questions, we will start with that.
Perfect. Okay. Reverend Denise, if you would join. Thank you guys so very, very much. Awesome job. Thank you. I appreciate the transparency and the openness all the way through. If I don't get myself on fire in the process. Reverend Denise, would you please close us?
Absolutely. So I want to give a thanks to every candidate that's up there, the time that you've spent in thinking about this. And I love you all, and I know I could work with each and every one of you. So grab a hand. Some of them are leaving. Okay. Prayer's important. Come on in. Join us.
Let the circle
That's fine.
be unbroken.
Good by and by, oh Lord, by and by. Come on, it's an old gospel. Come on, Ralph.
Weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love.
So just keep holding that hand. We're just going to do a little prayer. Thank you, God, for this most amazing ministry. For each hand that you're holding, just squeeze just a tiny bit more and just know that there's so much love, so much joy, so much appreciation for each one. Thank you, God, for the tremendous output, for our hearts that are opening, for the transformation that's already making each and every one of us a greater presence for you. And for that, we say, thank you, God. Together, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.